The train steered gently as it spun along the coast. Taekook sat by the window, his notebook open but blank outside. The sea grey blue under the sky. Beside him, Jungkook slowed down his earphone in his expression unbearable. Every few minutes, Taekook glanced at him. Jungkook's hair fell slightly over his eyes. His tie was looser than usual. The sight sent a small tremble through Taekook's chest. A voice on the curtains announced they arrive in Busan in 15 minutes. Taekook cleared his throat. Taekook, do you come here often? Jungkook took out one earphone. Jungkook, for work, yes. Taekook, it's my first time. Jungkook nodded once, then looked back at his phone, but after a moment he spoke again. Jungkook, the hotel is on the waterfront. You like the view? Taekook smiled faintly. Taekook, I'm sure. When they stepped into the platform, the window carried. Taekook tilted his head back to breathe in it. Jungkook noticed but said nothing. They walked together to a waiting car. The hotel lobby was all glass and soft wood. Their room were on the same floor. Taekook paused at his door, key in his hand. Taekook, what time does the conference started? Jungkook, 7 tonight. We have the afternoon free. Taekook nodded. Jungkook, I'll go over the presentation again. Jungkook's eyes flickered over him. Taekook, Jungkook, don't hide it in your room. Take a walk. The Harbour 2 block away. Taekook blinked. Taekook, is that an order? For the first time that day, Jungkook's mouth curled. Jungkook, a suggestion. Taekook went to the hardboard boats, gentle in the water. He took photos, sent one to Hobby with the caption, Busan is beautiful. Hobby replied with the state of his heart emoji and don't fall in love with the boss. Taekook laughed under his breath, then stopped staring at the message. Back at the hotel, Jungkook was. Taekook knocked softly. Jungkook came in. Inside, Jungkook was at his desk. Sleepover royal tie described. He looked up. Jungkook, how was the Taekook, peaceful. Jungkook, good. He gestured to a chair. Jungkook said, let's run through the slide. For an hour they walked side by side. Once their hands brushed, then reached for some files. Taekook pulled back quickly. Jungkook's eyes lingered on him for a second too long before he turned a page. Evening came. They dressed for the conference. Jungkook in a dark suit, Taekook in grey. The ballroom was filled with warm light and soft chatter. Jungkook introduced Taekook to colleagues. Taekook presented his section smoothly. People complimented him. Jungkook stood there, watching him, an expression Taekook couldn't read. After the final speech, a soft jazz band started playing. Group from around the Taekook slid out the dress for fresh air. The sea stretched back under the silver moon. He gripped the railings, tried to calm his racing heart. Footsteps behind him. Jungkook, you disappear. Taekook turned. Taekook, just need air. Jungkook stepped beside him, hand in his pocket. For a while, they both looked out at the water. Jungkook, you were impressive tonight. Taehyung leaped faintly. Taehyung, thank you. Jungkook, everyone noticed. Taehyung, I was nervous. Jungkook, you didn't show it. Silence. The wind cracked the scent of salt and music. Finally, Jungkook spoke, his voice low. Jungkook, about what you said the other night. Taehyung breathed curse. Taehyung, I shouldn't have. Jungkook, don't apologize. Jungkook turned to face him fully under the terrace light. His eyes was dark, searching. Jungkook, it's hurt me too. Taehyung's eyes weren't. Taehyung, what? Jungkook, seeing you organize dinner with her, pretending it didn't matter. Taehyung stared. Taehyung, why pretend? Jungkook, mouth tightened. Jungkook, because I wasn't supposed to feel anything. Taehyung, and now? Jungkook looked down at the water. Jungkook, now I don't know how to stop. Taehyung's heart pounded. He wanted to reach out, but his hand stayed at his side. Taehyung, you don't have to stop. The words trembled in the air between them. Jungkook turned back to him, eyes shining. Jungkook, Taehyung, but someone called Jungkook's name from inside. The moment shattered. Jungkook straightened. Jungkook, we should go back in. The hallway back. Taehyung stayed on the terrace, his hand gripping the railing until he waited. Later that night, after the last handshake, they returned to the hotel. The elevator rush was silent at their floor. Jungkook spoke without looking at him. Jungkook, get some rest. We leave at noon tomorrow. Taehyung, good night. Jungkook hesitated, then walked to his room. Taehyung lay awake, stared at the ceiling, replaying every word on the terrace. Because I wasn't supposed to feel anything, now I don't know how to stop. The memory burned through him like a small fire. He got up, pulling on hoodies, and stepped out into the corridor. Jungkook's door was closed, but light split from the gap at the bottom. Taehyung stood there for a long moment, then knocked softly. Inside, Jungkook looked up from his laptop. The door opened almost immediately. Jungkook stood there before hair slightly messy, his sleeve rolled up. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Jungkook, it's late. Taehyung, I know. His hands were brushing in his hoodie pocket. Taehyung, I couldn't sleep. Jungkook stepped aside. Jungkook came in. The room smelled faintly of coffee and sea air from the open balcony. People were spread across the desk. A single lamp threw a warm circle of light. Taehyung hovered near the door until Jungkook gestured to the sofa. They sat facing each other. The only sound was the sea beyond the glass. Finally, Jungkook spoke, his voice softer than Taehyung had ever heard it. Jungkook, why did you come? Taehyung looked down at his hand. Taehyung, because you left me on that terrace with 100 questions. Jungkook looked her in something like a revealed smile. Jungkook, and you won't answer now. Taehyung lifted his eyes. Taehyung, I want the truth. Jungkook leaned back, exhaling slowly. Jungkook, I've been spending years building this company, keeping everything controlled, even my own feeling. It was easier to be cold than risk anything messy. He made Taehyung gaze. Jungkook, then you walk into my office with that ridiculous clipboard and that smile, and suddenly control didn't feel like enough. Taehyung breathed harsh. Then why didn't you make me set up date for you with Sai? Jungkook closed his eyes briefly. Jungkook, because my mother kept pressing, because she was the kind of person she thought I should be with. I thought if I went along, my feeling for you would fade. He opened his eyes again, raw and honest. Jungkook, they didn't. The room seemed to lit. Taehyung's finger tightened on his knee. Taehyung, all this time. Jungkook's voice dropped to a whisper. All this time. They sat in silence, the air between them heavy with everything unsaid. Then Taehyung spoke, his voice trembling. Taehyung, I used to tell Hobby that I hate being yours matchmaker, that it's hard. But truth is, he swallowed. Taehyung, I am in love with you, Jungkook. I have been for a long time. Jungkook's eyes widened, then softened. He reached across the space between them, his hand hovering for a heartbeat before it touched Taehyung. Jungkook, say it again. Taehyung, I love you. A slow, almost disbelieving smile broke across Jungkook's face. Jungkook, good, because I don't want to stop loving you either. The warmth of his hand spilled into Taehyung's skin. Jungkook moved closer, their knees brushing. Jungkook, may I? Taehyung nodded. There was agitated, a soft meeting of the kind that make time slow. Taehyung felt Jungkook's hand slide to the back of his neck, drawing him closer. The second was sure, the sea whispering against the balcony door like then Taehyung further rested against Jungkook. Taehyung, what about your mother and Sai? Jungkook his thumb over Taehyung. Jungkook, I handled my mother. Sai and I were never serious. What I want is this. He squeezed Taehyung's hand. If you all have me. Taehyung laughed softly, a sound full of relief. Taehyung, I thought you never asked. They stayed like that for a long time, talking in a low voice about nothing and everything. Childhood memory, favorite food, the view from the. It felt easy in a way neither of them had expected. Then dawn began to light the curtain. Jungkook rose and opened the balcony door. The sea was calm and horizon painted pink and gold. He reached from Taehyung's hand again. Jungkook, come, see. They stood together at the railing. The wind tuggled at the hair. Jungkook, this what I've been chasing. Not deals, not headlines, just someone to stand with here with. Taehyung turned to him, eyes shining. Taehyung, you already have him. Jungkook bent and him again, slow and the kind of that feel like a promise. Later back in Seoul, Mrs. Jian noticed the change in her son immediately. He was still impressible dressed, but the cold air he had softened. At a family dinner, she looked between Jungkook and Taehyung, who had been invited for the first time, and her eyes widened in understanding. After dinner, she pulled Jungkook aside. Mrs. Jian, we made your choice. Jungkook, yes, Mrs. Jian. He seems kind. Jungkook, he is. He make me better. She studied her son for a long moment, then smiled. Mrs. Jian, then that's all I wanted. Be happy. Jungkook returned to table where Taehyung sat laughing with Jin and Hobie. He slid an arm casually across the back of Taehyung's chair. Taehyung glanced up at him, cheeks warm, but didn't move away. Under the table, their fingers. A week later, Jungkook walked into his office and found a small plant on his desk with the note in Taehyung handwriting for your control issue. Something alive. He laughed. The sound surprising even himself. That evening, as the city light came on, he and Taehyung stood at the window watching the skyline. Jungkook, remember Busan? Taehyung, I'll never forget it. Jungkook, to his temple. Jungkook, neither will I. They stayed there as the night deepened, no longer boss and employee, but two people who had found their way to each other slowly and surely. Spring sunlight spread across the Jian family garden, turning to lower of white into a sea of soft petals. A straight gutter turned quietly under her. Guests were finding their seats, chit-chat and laughing. However, when Jean from the front row, Mrs. Jean David, and there her eyes with a small handkerchief she swore she wouldn't use. At the far edge of the garden, Taehyung stood in the front of a mirror set up for the photographer, adjusting the simple jacket he's chosen. He could hear his own heartbeat louder than the music. Hobie came behind him. Hobie, you look like someone out of a magazine. I feel like I'm going to faint. Hobie squeezed his shoulders. Hobie, you be survived his board meeting. You will survive this. On the other side of the house, Jungkook was fasting his Jin leaned against the doorframe, watching him. Jin, I never thought I'd see you nervous. Jungkook, I'm not nervous. He was definitely nervous. Jin, you are marrying the man who used to bring your coffee and roll his eyes at your orders. Of course, you are nervous. Jungkook noticed. Jungkook, I'm lucky. Jin smiled. Jin, yes, you are. The music softened, the guest rose. Jungkook forgot to people, the camera, even the ceremony. He had paid all his hours. Taehyung walking towards him, sunlight, curtains in hair, that same ridiculous smile that had undone all of his walls. They met at tremble slightly as they took each other's opposition. These two stand there today to make a promise, not just a promise of love, but of care and patience of standing together. Jungkook and Taehyung looked at each other and they spoke. They hoped. They didn't read from cards. They spoke from memory. Small things only they would understand. Confidence, late night presentation, was in Busan on a balcony while the sea whispered. I used to think you weren't touched, cold, impossible, but you teach me that. Understand there was a heart that cares too much. I promise to keep standing beside you even when it's hard. Jungkook, I used to think control was the only way to be safe. When you walk into my office, I promise to hold your hand, to laugh with you, to keep building a life that feels like sunlight on the water. They exchanged a smile ring when the officer said, "You may." Jungkook up the young face and him, soft and sure. The guest cheers. Mrs. Jeon casually laughed through her tears. Later at the reception, Hobie and Jin dragged them into the dance floor. Jungkook, who had always avoided public display, didn't let go of them. Had once another fairy light strung across the garden. They moved slowly to the music, forehead touching. We are finally married. Jungkook, yes, we are. He smiled, and a small, real smile that Taehyung loved. Taehyung, what now? Jungkook, now we go together. He drew Taehyung closer. Jungkook, no more pretending, just us. Hobie caught Jin eyes from edge of the floor. Hobie whispering, look at them. Jin took them long enough. As the evening deepened, the sea birds drifted toward the garden. Jungkook and Taehyung slipped away to the edge of terrace where the light faded and the stars began. They stood together, glancing the hum of their hands. Love, Taehyung, same key, different life. Him again and quiet that like a promise. For the first time in a year, Jungkook didn't feel like he was running towards a doorway from anything. He was simply here, hand in hand with Taehyung, under the same sky, exactly where he wanted to be. The any glow from the candle filled the room with the warm soft light. The wedding had ended hours ago. At the echo of the music and belonging still lingered the air. Now he was just two of them. Taehyung sat quiet the edge of the bed, finger nervously playing the cuff of his shirt. His heart was racing when thought the night was come. The faint smell of flower from the still tucked to his clothes. Jungkook entered the room, closing the door behind him. He looked different now, not the busy, teasing man Taehyung had known all this year, but someone softer, careful, and completely in love. Jungkook, hey, he said in a low voice, stepping closer. You look beautiful tonight. Taehyung smiled shyly. You said that the fifth time already, Jungkook, and I'll say it again tomorrow and every day after that. Taehyung looked up, cheeks warm. Jungkook had always had this calm power. They were not grand or dramatic, but honest. He could feel the love behind them, deep and steady. Jungkook sat beside him, leaving a small space between them. For a few moments, neither spoke. The air was thick, was unspoken feeling, nervous, excitement, love. Jungkook, the he whispered, reached from his hand. Can I you? Jungkook asked him, nodded gently. You don't have to ask. Jungkook smiled, his thumb crossed Taehyung before leaning in, made softly a slow tender, then felt more like a promise than anything else. Taehyung had fluttered his hand, found Jungkook's shoulder, holding his on as if to say, "I'm yours now." When they finally pulled back, Jungkook rested his forehead against Taehyung, the candlelight dancing in his eyes. "Jungkook, I want tonight to be special for you," he said quietly. "Only if you are comfortable." "Taehyung, I am," he whispered back. "With you, I am." Jungkook smiled and gently cupped Taehyung's face. He placed a small, gentle gaze and careful, as if he was learning every part of him again. It wasn't rush, it was warm, full of love, like the world outside didn't exist anymore. The night moved softly, laughter between sigh moments, whisper words, and gentle care. Jungkook made sure every was filled with affection, every gesture with respect, and when Taehyung finally rested his head on Jungkook's chest, he could hear his heartbeat steady and calm. The sound of safety, Taehyung murmuring sleepily, "You are mine now." Jungkook smiled against his hair. "Always have been, always be." The night faded into peace, the kind that comes when two hearts finally find their home. Next morning, the sunlight peeked through the curtain, patted golden across the room. Jungkook was the first to wake up. He turned and saw Taehyung sleeping beside him, his hair messy, lip parted slightly, a faint smell still resting there. Jungkook brushed a straight of hair away from Taehyung's forehead, head whispered, "Good morning, my love." Taehyung said softly, "All right, morning." "Already morning?" His voice was shaky, half asleep. Jungkook, "Yeah." The sun didn't want let us sleep longer. Taehyung stretched a little. "Oh, my body hurts. I think I danced too much yesterday." Jungkook pretended to think, or maybe it was because someone didn't let me sleep early. Taehyung blushed intently. "Jungkook," he whispered lightly, hit his arms. "You are teasing me." Jungkook laughed, pulling him into a soft hug. "I'm just saying last night was beautiful." Taehyung brushed his face in Jungkook's chest, hiding his smile. It really was. A few minutes later, a knock came at the door. Jungkook's mom, Mrs. Jeon. "Good morning, nearly words. Are you both awake?" Jungkook asked and "Oh no," Taehyung whispered, panic. What we do now?" Jungkook mischievously, "We face her. She is our first test as a married couple." He opened the door slightly. Mrs. Jeon peeked and smiled wide when she saw them. "Look at you two, still sleepy, huh?" Taehyung sadly bobbed his head, clutching the blanket closer. Good morning, Mom." Mrs. Jeon eyes softened, but her tone turned teasing. "Earlier, Taehyung, are you okay? You are walking so slowly." Taehyung ear turned red. "I'm fine. I'm just tired from all the dancing." Mrs. Jeon raised an eyebrow. "Dancing? Sure. Let's call it that." Jungkook covered his face with his hand, laughing quietly. "Mom!" She chuckled, patting his arm. All right. I'll let you two rest a bit longer. Breakfast is ready downstairs. Don't take too long time." As she left, Jungkook shut the door and looked at Taehyung, who was hiding under the blanket now. "Jungkook, I can't face her now." Jungkook laughed softly. "You can. She already loves you." Besides, he tasted brushing his thumb over a faint near Taehyung's neck. "You should probably wear a high collar shirt today." Taehyung gasping softly. You? You did this? Jungkook innocent smile. A survivor of our. Taehyung threw a pillow at him. Both laughed until their side hurt. Then Jungkook crushed his hand, squeezed it gently. I am really lucky, Tae. I don't know what I do deserve. You love me, that's enough. They stayed silent for a while, quite peaceful, heartful. The moment light grew brighter, but another occurred. It was their first day as husband and husband. The world outside could wait. Jungkook ready for breakfast. Taehyung only if you promise to stay by my side. Jungkook forever, he said, pressing to Taehyung's forehead. And Taehyung smiled. He knew Jungkook meant it.